saying hi. Hi. Hello. Okay. Hello. Today I'm feeling like a Lovecraftian horror. I'm like, if a bat, oh goodness, if a bat, right? Ugh. Ow, I'm like choking myself. If a bat, like peeled back its skull, and then especially like with my collar, it's like feeling like a demogorgon. I don't know. It's Patrick inside the bat. What? Now the moon. No. Yeah. No, the hangman is the bat in the wild unknown, and I'm a Pisces. Anyway, this was the vibe today. Today's the last animal, and it's the bird. And for some reason, I got my headset on, and it's connected to my laptop, even though there's no audio. But hey, now you know. Do you trust me? I'm kidding. Um, so I feel like for the past few days, it's been seeming like nightingale would be the bird that comes out. Today's the last animal. It's the bird. We've done the dragon. We've done the dog. Well, the dog, the dragon, the dog, the dragon, and then the bird. No, the dog, the dragon, and then the frog because we've already done the cat. So today is the bird. I've been feeling nightingale energy for some reason, but I wouldn't be surprised if the crow comes out. And if the crow does come out, it comes out in an energy of a retriever, right? Like the birds that collect and gather things. If the vulture comes out, it's because of this. Yeah, anyway. And the reason why, so we have the wild dog, the savage dragon, and the frenzied frog. And I'm picking these adjectives, I guess, because it was like booster pack madness. So like kind of playing into the madness of the BP madness, right? Cool. All right. Oh, look, there's the dragon and the whale. Oh, all right. So what we're gonna do is now I see the owl at the cut with the whale. Okay. Owl. We've been seeing a lot of, like when we were talking about, was it the vulture and the phoenix? There was like owl energy kind of there. When we were talking about the big cats, the owl was there. The owl's just been like observing, watching, waiting. The bee and the swan. The swan is a bird. It's the only bird not in the element of air. So I completely forgot about it, even though we've literally been seeing it. The swan is a bird. The swan and the vulture, or the bee and the vulture, sorry. All the birds making appearances. The gazelle and the vulture. I actually saw something about. Oh, look at it! There's the cheetah and the gazelle. I was gonna say I actually saw something about cheetahs, and then the cheetah made an appearance. It was like cheetahs can be some of the friendliest big cats, and it's the video. I saw a video as I was scrolling Facebook, and it was like cheetahs are some of the friendliest big cats to humans because outside of their predatory sphere. And because cheetahs don't necessarily have like their speed is their thing, they're not like super powerful. And in order for speed to be their thing, they got flexible spines and like bones or whatever. And then I saw something today that was like cheetah, leopard, jaguar. The leopard is the one that we saw in the tree in the not Osho Zendero, in the Orisha Tarot. Also, I just clocked that apparently, like, Africa or Northern Africa is a thing. Not only was it the energy of, like, or Ochosi, and I was like, okay. The name is in my head, but like that's it. I think he's a warrior. But also, like the other day, I mentioned the dream, and I was like, he's Egyptian. I don't know if that matters. With the mountain or with the volcano that came out at the end of the places, it reminded me of the dream I had with the kid who wanted to go to northern Africa. Then there was that, Egypt is in northern Africa. I don't know. I was just like, okay. I'm like, it's there. I don't know if it necessarily matters, but I wish I had grid lines. We're bobbing today. If you get motion sick, I am so sorry. But I mean, you don't have to watch me for 3 hours. You could just listen. I don't. Well, you may be able to hear the. All right, I did pre-shuffle both of these. Are we gonna get the place first, or are we gonna get the bird first? I'm gonna give this 3 shuffles. If nothing flips over. Ooh, bro. Oh, they making noise. Then we'll get the bird first. All right, we're getting the bird first. This is already shuffled. I've been pulling off the top of the deck. Um, let's continue. The first bird we see is the bird that we're going to go with, and then I'll go to the places oracle. We have in order an environment, a roadway, and then a destination. So far, we've had rain, the environment of rain, the airways through the airport. I don't remember what the destination was. That was the hot springs. Rain, the airport, and hot springs was path of the dog through the wolf. And then we had, was it the lighthouse, the wishing well? What was the destination after the wishing well? There were 2 destinations. The lighthouse and the wishing well were for the dragon. One destination was the title card, the other destination was the courtroom. There were 2 destinations for the dragon because we're connecting the head to the tail. Through the north node, south node. Nodes just switched. Head of the dragon to the body of the dragon. Sometimes the tail was on the side of the title card, and it had an energy of like everything we project sort of onto spirituality, quote unquote, in general, as especially as we use it for it with the attitude to use it as a means to gain something, right? If you want to increase your money, if you want to find a person, if you want to do whatever, just use spirituality like it's a bank that you push in a pin and it just spits out money. But that was disconnected from the, and so you got to merge the two. And then that got into dominance versus authority. Dominance, of course, was on the side of projections with the title card and everything else. Authority was on the side of the courtroom. And then for the frog, which we just did, it was the toy store and the shopping mall as the environment. The spiritual realm was the roadway, and the destination was under the stars and some other card I forgot. One was all about stripping off a lot of limiting beliefs. It's someone extraordinary who was created. It's almost like a mystery flavor. And they go as far as they believe they can. And the interesting thing about belief is something that is, but it's also something that we hold, right? Like there are things that we deeply, truly, intimately believe. And then there are things that we think we believe, or there are things that we say to the point that we believe what we're saying, but there's like, if true belief is the tree with roots that go all the way down here, then sometimes there are other things that we believe that have shallower roots, right? Or like, again, we may think we believe something. We may think that we believe that we have a sense of self-worth, right? Because we've listened to the books and we've done all of this and we've done all of that. But in reality, especially like if there's some underlying trauma that we haven't faced, addressed, or that we can't face and address, that belief may be like shallow. It may be more shallow than we think it is. And we saw the whale. There was the energy of the hero, the duende, the poet, the arbiter, all of that. Like the belief that was for the frog. It's like the deep rooted stuff. Anyway, those are examples. We got the dragonfly and the unicorn at the card. Now we're looking for a bird. I guess I'm still shuffling. Yeah, that's how it's been coming out lately. As a refresher, I guess, because I can't just start one of these videos out rambling for 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 40. Sometimes we don't start pulling cards until almost an hour. All right, one more of these. Ooh. The phoenix and the beaver. They didn't match. There we go. And then a cut. We're going to pull off the top. The first bird we see is the one we're going with. The dragonfly, the owl, and the frog. So the owl, I feel like if any other bird would have taken it, it would have been a dishonor, not a disgrace. Because again, the owl has been there literally this whole time. And I was going to look for the owl again because the owls kept making an appearance after I did all the big cats. But then the Pet Avengers came out. The owl's like, I got this. Owl is connected to the frog. And it's also connected to the dragonfly. Now it's interesting. And you even see water. Like that's the glyph for water. And it has the blue of water. And then the frog is water. Also, there was something of the frog's life, evolutionary, whatever. And the dragonflies also have the larval nymph phase under the water before they come out of the water. Unlike the frog, I don't think dragonflies go back under the water, like in the water, but you know, they're close to it. I also mention this because we saw the swan at the cut, right? And it was that energy of like, oh, the swan is to my recollection. Because I didn't even think about the swan. When I was thinking about birds, I was thinking about the air suit, but the swan is a bird that's in the suit of water. Now we have this water around the owl. Bottom of the deck is the black egg. And we see this owl. Okay. The black egg is a card of truth. Typically one's like personal truth communicated through the voice, right? And with the owl here, like constantly observing, there's an energy of observation that leads to a discovery of truth. The owl, though, hasn't been distracted by what goes on the surface. It sees beyond glamours and illusions. Also, their eyes, all they're silent as they move through the air. For one thing, nearly completely silent as they move through the air. Also, their pupils take in so much light that they can see in the dark. Like the I almost want to say supremeness of their night vision is due to the fact that their pupils can take in even the tiniest amount of light. So it's almost like, for some reason, there's a visual image energy of an owl that's gotten used to living in the darkness. It can perfectly navigate it with like the tiniest amounts of light, the tiniest amount of truth that is buried under pain, trauma, masking, trying to be right. The glimmer, the sprinkle, the glimmer of the inner child that remains alive throughout people as they go about their day to day. Because of this frog energy, there's an encounter with something or someone of like radiance. And it's like very much like that movie, TV show, whatever. Like I had gotten used to this, and then all of a sudden, one day it was a day like any other. Maybe I knew that something special would happen that day. Maybe I didn't. All out of my periphery, I just see a flood of light come out, and I looked over the pupil of. Does the pupil get tiny? Yeah, because the pupil would contract in the light, but the iris would get big. Oh, anyway, it's like the eye of the owl. The owl's eye like goes wide, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that such a bright light existed, and it changed everything." Okay, we just got a flipper. Not necessary. It was a smooth flip too. It's the hot spring. Now, the hot spring can be an environment. See, the hot spring was the destination for dog energy. The dragonfly is obviously connected to the dragon. It's not the dragon, but it's connected to the dragon. Even when I was getting the final animal yesterday, we saw the dragonfly and then the dragon and the butterfly and the frog. Because like owl energy has been here throughout everything. And so to have these like literally next to the frog, a reference to the dragon and dragonfly, the place where we found the dog or the dog's destination. Owl might be some kind of unifier. Is Owl giving Nick Fury from the Avengers? Yeah, you proud of me? I know something. And we did. It was the Marvel superheroes Magic the Gathering card. Owl is kind of because there's something about a deeper truth or a deeper realization when you see all of these different parts operating in authenticity, integrity, and self-discovery. Honestly, big on the self-discovery piece, but it's self-discovery done in an authentic way, not in an inauthentic way. It's not inauthentic. It's an authentic way. A-N space authentic way, not I-N authentic. Which is interesting. It's interesting that the opposite of authenticity is inauthenticity. And it's only interesting because of like a lot of the etymological wordplay. Maybe etymology is more so like the history of the word, but a lot of the wordplay, right? Like when you're in authentic, that means you're in authenticity. That means you're being authentic, even though the word literally means fake. But you're in authenticity, you're inauthentic. It's like, sorry, that probably maybe wasn't necessary. She a little clocky. Was it her or was it me? Nature Spa, warmth and rejuvenation. I'll flip it over. We'll shuffle again. If it's meant to come out, it'll come out. Maybe that's just like a little Easter egg. Pun intended. Oh my gosh. I feel like in all the other places, I wasn't getting all these flippers. But we start with social media. Is that the hot spring? No, it ain't. We start with social media, and there's the title card right before social media. The title card, which was one of the destinations for the dragon. Social media, which we saw as the final card, that was with the volcano. Title card, social media, kitchen, beach, and home. The kitchen, the beach, the casino, these are a lot of places we haven't seen. The police station, we've been seeing the fire station, but not the police station. Excuse me, home made an appearance, but it wasn't the destination. Oh, I just feel like this is like there's all of the times that we've been seeing the owl, but that's not all that the owl has seen. She's feeling a little high priestessy. Oops. Let me put these back in reverse. I'm not trying to have a bunch of face up cards. There's something that the owl's been seeing with the energy of this bird. Like the bird's been, and I feel like that's a really interesting thought experiment question mark because because I keep seeing the bird, I'm like, oh, like the not the bird is following me, but like we coincidentally keep happening to pop up in the same places. So there's almost like an assumption that the bird is following something or someone. And when you assume that something is following you, or if you believe, how about that? Whether it's an assumption or a knowing, it's a belief. Belief encapsulates both assumptions and knowings. Knowing is deeper, assumptions are more shallow, but they can all fall under the umbrella of belief. Belief is also apparently an interesting whatever. Blame the frog. There's an assumption that like the bird has been where we've been. So everywhere that we've been, the bird's been. And because we're living our lives 24/7, we almost assume like the bird hasn't been anywhere else. But that was almost like just because we kept seeing the owl in particular in all of these different places doesn't mean that the owl hasn't been everywhere else and doing like other things. See, it's almost giving me the Wheel of Fortune and the Wild Unknown Tarot, and I'll take it because it has an owl on it. But it's giving me the Wheel of Fortune because of like those threads that connect everything. Excuse me. We ain't even got a place yet. Hmm. Let's see if I can spot it. The Hangman is the bat, but that I was thinking of the bat and the um, animal spirits. See, like all of those different threads connecting everything with the owl on the top Because again, it's that like in observing multiple things, there's some kind of truth that is being made apparent to the owl. And it's a truth that others may not have necessarily. It's a greater truth, a simpler truth, and like a understanding of the foundation of something, because it is observing, has observed all of these different truths. It's almost given the energy of the dolphin in that one animals deck that I don't have. This and that are true. It's like, wait, if this is true and that's true and this other thing is true and all of these other things are true, it's not necessarily given the energy of conspiracy. I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm ready for a report on the owl's findings. It's been interesting. See, but also too, when we were seeing the owl, we were seeing the owl in places that were dominated by other energies. Like with the massive confuso, chaos that came out in the wild unknown, alchemy. At the point, I think that's when we were looking for the vulture, and then the phoenix came out. There were energies, individuals that like didn't pass the test of the phoenix slash vulture. They didn't pass the test of the big cats. But the owl has been there watching. It's very like so many animes. Maybe you could say like Harry Potter. I've seen the movies one time when I was older. It wasn't a part of my childhood because I went to one of those churches where it wasn't allowed. Um, but I think like Harry could have been sorted into any house, but he ended up in Gryffindor. So there's the one trope where someone is proficient at like everything and they do it all. And then there's the other trope where someone isn't proficient at anything established. They're assumed to be a failure, but they have like this secret power or they have a skill that science and technology, that they have a skill that the knowledge base of that universe can't measure. And so they're deemed to be without worth, but there's something about themselves. Either it's tenacity and grit and a spirit to never give up, even though it'll be dashed. Speaking of lighthouses not being on, it'll be dashed from shore to shore to shore to shore, never landing, but still going. And then they turn into like this powerhouse energy. There are actually a few shows where it's like one of those like a reincarnation isekai anime, and there'll be an entity, a god usually that's like the god of that world or whatever, or one of the gods of that world, and they're like, hey, like, sorry that the because a lot of those shows, when you come of age, you get a skill, you get a class, you get some kind of blessing from the gods, and it's so rare or it's been created just for that person. They're like, hey, sorry that like they can't evaluate it. Like, but in those cases the person knows what their skill is because they have that intimate direct divine connection, right? But anyway, it's not necessarily like, it doesn't have to be a lot of failure. it doesn't necessarily have to be successful at everything, but it's that vibe or that energy of like the owl's been there watching the whole time. And again, like I feel like there's something about this owl. Just for funsies, I want to see the next bird is the vulture. The vulture is in between the cheetah that literally just talked about and the unicorn. The reason why I kept going is because there was almost a like, what if the owl isn't the bird that we're looking for? It's just, again, sort of making another appearance. The fact that it's literally with the unicorn, the vulture is next to this cheetah. Before, like the lion and the cheetah are looking at each other, by the way. It was the after the frog is the turtle, the lion, the cheetah, the vulture, and then the unicorn. Lion turtles, dragon turtles. I think I think I said dragon turtle for Avatar, but I think they are actually lion turtles. Are they lion turtles or are they dragon turtles? On this channel, we go with the flow. We're gonna look around every bird in this deck, I guess. And then we'll see. The hawk is in between the dragon and the bat. The eagle is in between the tiger and the crow. The crow is in between the eagle and the dolphin. I don't know if I have enough room. The peacock is in between the whale and the oyster. The nightingale is in between the golden egg and the starfish. Is the phoenix a bird? Technically, I'm not gonna take it as one. The phoenix is in between the wolf, which was our dog, and the dragon, the wolf and the beaver. The hummingbird is in between the buffalo and the butterfly. The swan is in between the sea serpent and the bunny rabbit. It's just a rabbit. Okay. And that's all of them. She's giving, oh, the places you'll go. Let's see if this was all necessary. So the non-bird animals we have on the table, we got dragonfly, the frog, the cheetah, the unicorn, the dragon, the bat, the tiger, the dolphin, the whale, the oyster, the sea serpent, the rabbit, the golden egg, the starfish, and then the buffalo and the butterfly. We we should have kept it simple. Woo! Somebody said they need a kiss. Keep it simple. Student. Because we're all students in the game of life. Yeah, let's go here. The Wheel of Fortune is in between another bird in temperance and strength. XIXXIV. XIXIV. Tempered strength used to be a thing back in the day. Tempered strength is to be as strong as someone needs to be. Right. Sometimes when it comes to strength, we can overdo it. Sometimes when it comes to strength, we can underdo it. Right. If we don't want to exert too much or be too overbearing or whatever, maybe we end up doing less. And if we're not mindful or aware, either situationally aware or personally, right? Awareness of one's own strength and awareness of the situation environment. It is interesting to see tempered strength, especially after we saw it was something in that frog, I feel like. It was just there and then it left, it flittered away. Also, temperance is this balance of fire and water, which, if you've been here for a hot minute, you know, the magician from the Tarot Apocalypses, Heavenly Fire, Water on Earth. This one, honestly, there's a part of it that feels like a collective, but also a part of it that isn't, because the owl is just the owl. But it reads like all of these other birds are like different places where the owl has been, different things that the owl has observed. It's almost like pick a sci-fi, probably TV show, where there is a character like throughout major historical events. It's like you always see the same person in the crowd all over the world, across time and history. You see that same person always there at these pivotal important moments. Oh, girl. I didn't think the bird would be the one that pricked me, honestly. Excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised to see social media as the environment, that like virtual worlds connected type energy. because this is like everywhere. But I feel like if that were the case, like the owl has been, like the witness has been observing all of these different things, but now it's time for the owl's story to begin. Like the owl is done observing different historical moments. It's time for the owl to start making history itself. There's a lot that the owl has witnessed, has seen, has experienced to like learn from, almost like vicariously learning from other people's failures, successes, frustrations, delays, all that stuff. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, we just got another flipper. They keep flipping. The festival. Culture, food, and music, celebration of community. Well, there's a communal energy. It's the festival, though. It's not social media, virtual worlds. See, culture, because of the culture and culture, food, and music, she's given me like a culture festival, right? Where you see different cultures represented from all over the world. And so you'll get to try different foods, flavors, and cuisines. You'll get to hear different music. You'll get to like witness different cultures. It's almost like some merging of Gemini and Sagittarius, right? Like the Sagittarius aspect is the global, many different foods, cultures, musics, but it's all gathered at the festival. It's made local. It's localized. It's like Sagittarius in Gemini's arena. Question mark. And I guess this would, I don't know. It would be easy if that's the owl. Just like going from stall to stall, you're seeing the owl everywhere. Every time you see, that's the owl making a stop. That could be your whole life, but that's like, again, one of the many, 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 many different places that the owl has been. All right. Let's just, we have the classroom. I guess the classroom is the environment, learning grounds, lessons taught, the festival, the classroom. You know what? This is low key like, and it's interesting because we did see the golden crested dragon. When God, not that he was necessarily like, all right, Jesus, going down there, check it out, see how it is, and then when you're done, give me a report, and we'll see if some things need to change down there. And maybe it was advertised as a fun little field trip, and it ended up culminating in crucifixion. It's like you didn't say it would be like this. The roadway, the playground is the next card after the classroom. The festival, the classroom, the playground. We did see the toy store last time. Imagination's landscape, boundless fun. Mm, the playground, prison, spiritual realm, living room. Is spiritual realm going to be our? Well, we got three roadways to choose from. We got the playground as a potential roadway. We have prison as a potential roadway, and then we have the spiritual realm. That's definitely a roadway that's already been It's already come out as a roadway. Literally, the owl did come out right next to the frog. So for them to be on the same roadway or navigating similar environments, environments of spirit, not surprising. Sure. We'll go with the spiritual realm again. Also, it was the toy store, shopping mall toy store was the environment with the spiritual realm. Now we have festival classroom with that playground that was right after it. Again, for the sake of like inner child, whatever. It's not surprising that those are the environments that one accesses spiritual realm roadways through. It's almost like if you're not this is projection. Maybe I'm projecting here, but it's almost like if you're not careful, you'll think that this is something that it isn't. And maybe it plays into that because we keep seeing the owl everywhere we go. We assume that the owl is on the same or similar path and trajectory. But again, there's like where we are, it's just a few stops for the owl. That's not all. Like the owl's whole life isn't just following you from place to place to place to place to place. It's like if you just so happen to pop up or be in the vicinity of historical events going down, like that's why the owl is there. It feels like one person is like intentionally observing these moments, which is the owl, and other energies are like living those moments and they see the owl. There's a difference. Anyway, the wishing well. The wishing well. Did I forget about the wishing well? Was it rain, the wishing well? It was rain, the wishing well, and the hot spring, right? And then we saw home, which is interesting that it's here again. Then we saw home, and I was like, for the like, there's an obvious connection between the wishing well and home, but home isn't the destination. Home was, I think, the last place that we saw when the spiritual realm originally flipped over. No, the hot spring. No, I think the hot spring flipped over by itself. And then I put it back, and then I shuffled in a whole bunch of cards flipped, and it was the title card, the spiritual realm, I think, and then like places we haven't seen, the beach, the casino, other places, and then home. And I was like, home made an appearance, but it didn't come out as the destination. There is a certain world in which the wishing well makes sense for the destination. If I had to use colloquially question mark available terminology, this would be it's like this is the owl's last trip. When the owl is done this time, they're done. They're going back to spirit to be with their creator. And that's why it's like all of these different moments, all of these different places that like we've kind of seen. And maybe that's why, like, maybe that's the tie between that and this, right? The owl has lived as a bird. It's been this bird, it's been that bird, it's been all these different birds. And then at the end, it's like a person. They go back to be with spirit. I don't know. That's how it's reading. But again, there's an energy of like, if this is the last go around, then like it's your turn to do something historic, momentous, to leave your mark as someone who's been and like even in someone's like own life, like in a single incarnation. This could be someone who has worn many, many, many different hats throughout their life. and they've done all of these different things, and they're reaching a point where maybe they're starting to think about like legacy and like what they want to leave behind or what they want to tackle with more single-minded focus. Like the thing that's going to carry them to the finish line. So interesting. I mean, if in the world of Pet Avengers and the Wall, the bird has never been, the bird has never hallucinated. The bird has had clarity this whole time. And again, it plays on the eyesight of the owl. The eye of the owl is so good at taking in light that even in the darkness, even in complete darkness, it can still see. And apparently it's quiet as a mouse, even though owls eat mice, or is that just like barn owls that eat field mice? I mean, I guess if you're eating mice, you got to be quieter than a mouse, because if a mouse hears you, then they know. Anyway, and it's interesting though because of the festival in the classroom. Again, it reads like this energy that has never, or at like from a very, 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 very young age, eyes open to the truth of whatever. They were never under the illusion, never under the hallucination. But this isn't someone who's like black sheep bitter because the environment is the festival in the classroom. If the environment was prison, then they'd be black sheep bitter. The destination is the wishing well. The roadway is the spiritual realm. I feel like that would be like, you wouldn't necessarily think they have a screw loose, but it would be one of those like, even when things aren't great, it's one of those people, and you're like, how can you be so like positive? How can you remain so, but like your situation is terrible. What you've been through in life is like some of the most traumatic stuff I've ever heard. And they're like, yeah, well, it's not all bad. There were great moments. And even in those moments, like, it's just, that's what life is, right? It's almost low key like one of those comedy sitcom type shows where it's like there's like an alien or something and they're just like, whoo, another day being human, right? Oh, gotta love it. I starved yesterday. Like I felt genuine hunger. I've never been hungry in my life. It was a sensation unlike anything I've ever felt. Can you imagine? It's like, oh my gosh, I was on the precipice of death. I was so sick. And you hear that and you're like, if anybody else were on that field trip, they'd want a full refund and they'd be on the first bus, taxi, Uber, whatever. They're like, I'm done. I didn't sign up for this. F the chaperone. I'm going home. And this, I guess, owl energy is like, I don't know. Anyway, maybe it ain't necessarily that like extreme, but there's no bitterness here. Not with the owl. Because the black egg is at the bottom of the deck, though, just like with the frog, there's purpose to this owl beyond the present. Right, because with the owl, it was the poet, the midwife, and the poet, and then it was the poet and the midwife. Like, there's for the frog, like, in the act of fully investing into something instills, places, awakens, thaws something within the frog, and then they turn that on themselves and they become boundless, whatever. The fact that the black egg is here, it's like, and maybe that plays on that same energy of like the owl who had observed so many historic things, like now it's their time to make history. But it feels like them making history is just wrapping up the cycle that they were in, and there's still a new one even beyond that. And honestly, I feel like that's it. There may be, because there could have been a lot of like vicarious learning. Temperate strength may be something that like owl energy is learning, right? Because it's one thing to watch other people do something, it's one thing to learn something in a textbook, it's one thing to like go through training, and it's another thing to like be in the field. And so there may be like an in the field adjustment. And I feel like that in the field adjustment, it puts a few interesting wrinkles in the fabric of this story. It puts a few twists and turns and unexpected, and almost like it's almost like there's a certain point where the novelty of some things starts to wear thin, and the burden of consistent being, and not just this fluttering, flying about, but like it's not it's not, it does get heavy. It gains weight, but it may not necessarily be heavy. It doesn't have to necessarily be heavy, but it does become weighty because it's resting, and it's like gravity is interacting with it more and more and more. So it gets like the mass remains the same, but the weight feels like it increases. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to get to the point where it feels heavy, because heavy almost implies an amount of weight that becomes burdensome or cumbersome to the point of eventually being unbearable. That doesn't necessarily have to be involved, but things like the weight increases. But grit, perseverance, all that jazz, all that good stuff. Cool. Well, let's get final cards. That's where we're gonna leave the birds today. And again, even like I don't even know if it's necessarily going in the same direction. Oh, there is something about it. Is that the vineyard at the bottom of the deck? The vineyard at the bottom of the deck? The vineyard was the place next to the fire station. On the left of the fire station, I believe, was the vineyard. With that whole sublimatio, calpinatio. It was before and after solutio, dissolution, the great alchemical operation of water. We saw The great alchemical operation of fire. What was on the bottom? I don't remember. The sunset. We saw the sunset at some point because it was like sunsetting. Something was like ending. Again, she reads like the last trip. And I know it's not the most like sensitive thing for me to say. Like, this owl isn't black sheep bitter, but it was not necessarily sensitive, but succinct. My south node's in Gemini and my north node's in Sagittarius. Okay. But because I feel like so many times, like, people can be in an energy of being disillusioned, especially like with that energy of like from a young age, like to be disillusioned for a long time or for a period of time. One second. Okay. There are a few things I check my phone for: food and Duncan, and then like other things. I saw a text from my number one fan, and I was like, Duncan. Now that I'm done here, I'm like, Duncan. Racking up them bonus points. That's how they get me. It was triple points on Duncan Zero, triple points on beverages after one, 50 points for doing the order, another 50 points for ordering ahead. I got a bunch of bonus points yesterday. And I don't know why it took me so long to get on the apps, especially like if I'm going to be there spending money anyway. Might as well get something free. Hello. I have so many Starbucks cups because that was in my Starbucks era. I was racking up them stars like crazy. And when I got enough stars to get like $20 off of merchandise, I would go to Starbucks and get a new cup. And now they're all sitting in a box in storage. Yeah, I don't think I have any of them. Anyway, the hawk and the vulture. There's a lot of cards, so I'm like putting them back and shuffling them periodically. But yeah, a lot of times when someone's been disillusioned for a minute, they grow like bitter, or it's kind of like sour. You know what I mean? But again, with the festival and the classroom, that energy isn't here for the owl. So, you know, now the frog is at the cut with the earthworm. The cheetah's at the cut with the frog again. Cheetah's been coming out of it. Oh, I didn't finish. Okay. So there was a thing I saw last night about cheetahs, right? Humans exist outside of their predatory sphere. So they, this is not, if somebody approach a big cat in the wild and they get injured, don't come for me. Have some common sense. Them's wild animals. When you approach a wild animal, you're consenting to the risk that comes with it. If you don't want to get bit, don't go. It's different if they coming after you. Anyway, because humans exist outside of the predatory sphere, and because they're built for speed and they're not necessarily like powerful, they're not putting themselves in situations to get injured because a minor or an injury to a cheetah, since all they have really is their speed, that could mean that they go hungry. Because if they can't hit that speed, then they ain't gonna be able to eat. And then I saw something that had the cheetah, the leopard, and the jaguar. And I saw like the different spots. And I was like, okay. And the thing said, somebody left a comment that was like, if you touch its nose and it's wet, it's a cheetah. If you go to touch its nose and you lose a finger, it's a leopard. If you go to touch its nose and you lose an arm, it's a jaguar. I was like, oh, okay. And that was it. I don't think I said that last part. 6 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. We see this glorious blue butterfly flying over all of the bramble, all of the BS, all of that. Is that an emperor butterfly? I think it is. Oh, look, and then another butterfly at the cut, the Two of Pentacles. Interesting. Because of the Two of Pentacles and the Six of Wands, it was like that butterfly could be any color. So back in the metaphor of the owl, seeing through certain anime especially, it's that story of like the person who's proficient at everything. So maybe they'll be doing their fire magic and then they switch over to the water element and they're like, 2 elements, it's rare, but it's not unheard of. And then another element, 3 elements, oh my gosh, that's, and then they do like, they cycle through all the elements and people are just like losing their gosh darn minds. There's something that the owl picks up. This is the energy of the keeper in the SKT. The Fool, the major arcana is the journey of the Fool. And the aim or the goal of the Fool is to learn something, to pick something up at every major arcana card along the way, so that by the time you get to the world, or by the time the Fool gets to the world, it has the gift, the power, the knowledge, the wisdom, the lesson learned, the experience gained of the magician, the empress, the high priestess, the emperor, the lover's strength. Name a card, it's got it. And when the Fool overcomes the world and then is reborn into it or continues to live life, it can do so many different things. And it's like this blue butterfly, like we see it as blue in this card, and maybe blue butterfly has some kind of significance, but it's not locked into that pigmentation. It's not locked into blue. It could be anything. And that feels significant for some reason. Look, the Two of Pentacles just made more noise. The Ten of Swords is behind it. But after seeing the Six of Wands, these 10 swords can't do nothing to that butterfly. Maybe this is like a previous version of the butterfly. But it's like, you spear the butterfly and then it comes out of its shell like a snake that has shed its skin. It just like emerges as a different color, or the same blue butterfly. You're like, what? See the phoenix. The phoenix that was the bird that we didn't take. I don't even remember what it was next to. The beaver and something else. The Three of Pentacles just made a little noise. Also, it's Leo season. I saw your comment, Holly. My brain is so potatoes. I feel like I should know when your birthday is, Matt. If you see this, happy birthday. Happy birthday to all the Leos. I've been thinking this Leo season, I feel like you'll meet an Aquarius that's like, I'm not into the zodiac. You'll meet Virgos. You'll meet some Sagittariuses. You'll meet a lot of signs that's like, I don't believe in astrology. I've never met, I've never seen, I've never encountered a Leo that ain't all about being a Leo. You know what I mean? I feel like Leos don't even have to believe. All a Leo needs to do is know that they're a Leo. and they'll be the Leoest Leo you've ever seen. And not all Leos are necessarily the super whatever. In 2016, 2017, that year specifically, I feel like I met a lot of Leos. I've met the spectrum of Leos. I've met the more like reserved Leos. I've met the extroverted, flashy Leos. I kind of low key love a Leo, not gonna lie. I feel like it's easy to love Leos when you're not a hater, though, low key. The Mother of Cups. Mother of Cups, Mother of Pentacles, and the Chariot. See, there's something going on with this owl energy. Earth and water have been two very important question mark elements that have been coming out in the cards since that booster pack energy specifically. And we've been seeing a lot of fire and air. I mean, to be fair, all of the planets right now, if not all of them, the upper majority are in fire and air, right? Excuse me, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, Uranus and Gemini, Jupiter and Leo. I don't know where Venus is or Mars. Venus and Mars. Is Venus about to go back into Libra? Venus and Mars are where they are. Pluto is in Aquarius. Yeah. So Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, air and fire, Jupiter, I think still in Leo. Mercury's going to be making its rounds. Venus and Mars going to be making their rounds. But not only do we see the elements of earth and water, but we see the mothers of earth and water. There's something about that owl energy that's like, you could say that. I'm gonna mind my business. Yeah, I mean, shoot, you can try to tell an owl if you want to. I hope you have excellent night vision, and I hope you can move without making a peep. I hope you can fly, and I hope you can turn your neck 360 degrees. I'm just anyway. The final place. The volcano in the theater. Oh goodness. Let the story of creation and destruction unfold. I feel like this low key kind of just turned into the owl has made its verdict. It's issuing its verdict. It's making its judgment call. The owl that's been there watching everything. It could be good though, right? I feel like if it weren't a fairy tale story, then the owl wouldn't have necessarily been in like the playground, festival, classroom energy. Final place. I think almost. It's like they throwing out so many points. I'm like, man, I don't need it every day. I don't need it every day. I want it. The aquarium just flipped over, and also the library and the wishing well flipped over. Bottom of the deck is the playground, and I see the sports event above it. Playground, imagination's landscape, boundless fun. With the wishing well, echoes of wishes, cast your intentions, literally next to the library, wisdom's treasury, expansion and learning. And then we have the aquarium, underwater world, mesmerizing discoveries. Mesmerizing discoveries, expansion and learning after you cast your intention. I feel like that's almost like that's one of the reasons why owl energy today is just goaded. The birds are goaded. Yeah, Capricorn can scale the mountain, but the bird can fly. Okay. And just because it takes more energy and more effort doesn't necessarily always mean that it's more worthwhile. If that's the case, the people who are always struggling would be eternally on top. You know what I mean? Let's calm down. Owl energy is goaded. I ain't gotta tear down nobody else. In real life, I'm not like that. I feel like sometimes, especially it's like when you're dealing with certain, like when you just kind of open and you know, it's like how quickly sometimes we as people can be to try to like tear down other people's accomplishments and justify how easy it has to be for them. Oh, well, they can't be going through what I've been through because I'm in the situation I'm in. So they have to have it easier than me because they're standing, from my opinion, up here and I'm down here. And it's like, or they're just the goat. Ooh, the butterfly. The butterfly. I like, I was splitting the deck and I grabbed it and the butterfly popped and I caught it. There's the firefly. The firefly we did actually see with the cat. So there's owl proving. Oh, I've been here before. The dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog. I've been here the whole time. You remember the firefly from the big cats with the she people? Yeah, that's me. I think the firefly. It was with the double big cats. It was the deer, the cat, and the firefly. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Anyway, 200. This is the last step, so I'm just gonna keep shuffling it up until we get some cards. The Phoenix and the Dragonfly. Phoenix and the Dragon, giving masculine, feminine energy, but it's the Dragonfly. Again, it almost, I feel like it plays on the eyesight of the owl. Almost like the dragon has tried to disguise itself as the dragonfly, but the owl's eyes keen, they can clock it. She's like, okay, you can pretend to be a dragonfly for all the other folks, but I see you. Now, does the owl reveal the fact that it knows, that it's clocked, that it's seen? I don't know. Because even though the owl has never fallen under or has long broken that illusion, that hallucination, that spell, she's not necessarily going around disrupting the system. You know what I mean? She ain't necessarily going around like, the dragonfly is a dragon. I see you. Have you eaten any sheep lately, dragonfly? Have you raised any villages or stolen any gold? Have you dispensed your great wisdom and magical power and spiritual presence upon someone? Hmm. Guess what the final card is? It's the Nightingale. The bird. I was like, I feel like I'm feeling Nightingale. I'm feeling Nightingale. Bottom of the deck is the Gazelle. If you know, you know. If you don't know, take it as it resonates. The Nightingale. It's almost like all of this had to come out for the Nightingale to make sense. The energy of the Nightingale is the same as what I was already intuitively feeling, but it's almost like without the background, without like all of these different places that the owl has been and all of these different things that the owl has observed, the owl was never under a hallucination or an illusion. So it's been gathering information this whole time, but the information that it's been gathering isn't tainted by a hallucination or an illusion. It's truth upon truth upon truth upon truth upon truth. And so I don't know. It's like it's almost like, if you're watching something or if you're reading something and there's a character that you really love, everybody loves, fan favorite, and then like they go into their backstory, and it's like you didn't necessarily need to know their backstory to believe that they're capable of doing what it is that they're obviously doing. But when you get into the backstory, it's like it fleshes out the character or whatever. Also, it's time for the owl to make history. Rather than just observing all of these other moments, it's the owl's time to step forward. So, of course, it's going to look like a nightingale. The one whose eyes have been wide open in the dark this whole time is going to speak. And when they do, you'll know how goated the owl is, too. I'm kidding. So it's like, what's wrong with him? No one's like that. Well, maybe somebody does. The gazelle is beyond goated, right? Like goated, like here's the average ordinary person at the bottom of the mountain. Here's the goat at the top of the mountain. Here's the bird flying wherever, doing whatever it's doing. There's the gazelle, the goat at the top of the mountain. You can't even see the gazelle because she has transcended this reality. Anyway, yeah, that was the bird. That we've done the dragon. The cat was already done. The bird was today. The dog and the frog have been done. That's all the animals. All the pet Avengers have assembled, and it's almost interesting because I feel like when the maybe it's because we've seen Thor and the Thing and the Human Torch working together with all of those villainous scientists to try to bring down a wall. When you see the pet Avengers show up, it's almost like one would think that they're like finally going to take the wall down, but that's not necessarily why the pet Avengers show up. It isn't necessarily to do what we think should be done, but that's why with the dragon, like the title card was over here with all of the projections that the ways we make sense out of things that are incomprehensible, and the courtroom is like over there. I don't know. Anyway, only 3 decks. Water known 2 of them. I almost wish I could get a parting message from the owl, right? Like before the owl takes the stage, like uh, like they say something, right? And for the folks that know, they're like, oh my gosh. And for the folks that don't know, it's just like, again, it sort of plays into that amphibly. It plays into like the double entendre type energy where it's not sexual. Like there's a meaning behind the meaning, a meaning under the meaning, right? We're gonna do it. I don't know if it's like, we've done this much. We've gone this far. Why not? It's so cool that the Nightingale came out as the final card, though. And again, I don't necessarily. Well, maybe it's not for the benefit of us non-owl folk. Because I was going to say, I don't, because again, ultimately, even when we saw the theater, let the story unfold and then the volcano, creation and destruction. Is it a story of creation that's unfolding, or is it a story of destruction that's unfolding? Is it a combination of the two? Like all of that was for us to understand the nightingale. Or no, it was like if that's for my brain is I'm done. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like I feel like if it's for us, the exposition doesn't necessarily change anything. But I guess if it's for the owl, maybe it's confirmation. It's time to take center stage. And it's interesting that the owl is the final animal with all of this energy, especially cheetah, big cat, leopard, jaguar, because the south node is in Leo, but the north node is in Aquarius. And it's time for the one that's been there to take center stage. I don't know. We'll try. We're running the. Um, how am I going to do this? I don't feel like grabbing the Tao Oracle. So maybe we won't look at. I'm going to cast an I Ching. I'm going to use the Lot Caster program to cast lots, and then we'll read it. But my thing is like, because the last time I modified it to show the changing lines, and the Book of Maps doesn't have the changing lines. So maybe it won't change. We'll see. Do. I'm like, hold up. Where's the rest of my program? Okay. It just took a minute to like boot up. I'm like, what's happening? The what it's not last words. It's that like it's that part of the movie where something epic is about to happen. The character that's maybe been enigmatic. I literally just saw that from enigma to something. The character that's been like enigmatic this whole time is about to do something like whoa, and then there's like that line. They like turn to the camera and they say something, and then they go and blow everybody's mind. But it's not like their last word. It's not a final word. The owl's epic one-liner. It doesn't have to be one-liner. I don't know. Owl's words. Also, the library, wisdom's treasury. Owls are associated with wisdom. I'll say the goaded. I almost put oded. Goaded minus the G. The goaded. Goodness, the goaded owls. Epic line. Your cast reveals I Ching number 50, fire over wind. It doesn't change. Look, I didn't even have to worry about it. I Ching number 50, fire over wind. Now go to the Book of Maps. The Book of Maps is it's not a guidebook. It accompanies the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. Shout out to Benabel Wynn and the SKT. Number 50, the Cauldron. You are in the developmental phase. Nourish the inner temple. At issue is the alchemy for nurturing talent and virtue so that there may be progress, innovation, and success. That alchemy, however, is reserved exclusively for the worthy. What is needed right now for you to prevail in your endeavor is a personal catharsis. Greater nourishment is needed. Bring forth offerings of sustenance to both the inner temple and to the outer temple of the gods. Be sure to cleanse and purge the cauldron thoroughly of its grime before you cook with it. So, those are the enigmatic owls, enigmatic last words. And again, with the energy of the amphibole, maybe that means something deeper to somebody. Yeah. And with all that, take it as a resonate for resonate. If you don't resonate, don't take it. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey might be find. And until next time, that's been the 5 animals. I'm so proud of myself for like actually doing this. Granted, it was only 4 more. Typically 3 to 4 to 5. Pushing it at 6 kind of is my limit. So many Zodiac series that have been started and left unfinished. But we got through all the animals. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. That was the bird. The bird, which is like every bird, apparently, first entered as the owl, seen as the owl. But the owl is about to speak, like that nightingale or something.